Okay, thank you, everyone. Oh, Beth is on her way. Sorry, today is Tuesday, September 28th, 2021. This is a virtual meeting of the Borough of Flemington, New Jersey Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustments. And it is called and pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Both adequate and electronic notice of this virtual meeting has been provided by way of publication in the Courier News and newspapers. And in addition, notice of the meeting was posted on the door of the Borough of Flemington Municipal Building located at 38 Park Avenue, and any handicap accessible entrances there too, posted on the municipal website, provided to the municipal clerk, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of the same. This meeting is being recorded with both audio and visual and may be rebroadcast. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions and comments must be limited to the issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice to all. Eileen, could you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Mayor Driver?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Mr. Campion?
Here.
Mr. Dashna is excused. Mrs. Engelhardt?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Budney?
Here.
Mr. Hayne?
Here.
Ms. Giffen?
Here.
Mr. Hill and Mr. Norton are excused. Mr. Levitt?
Here.
Ms. Weitzman?
Here.
Ms. Kaczynski?
Here.
Mr. Clerico and Mr. Troutman are excused. Ms. McManus?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arlene. I guess I'll first ask if there were any public comments emailed or sent via snail mail, Eileen, to.
No, nothing was received on any platform.
Okay, and let's see, do we have any participants that would like to make any comments that are on agenda, on items not currently on tonight's agenda? If so, hit *9 or hit the raise hand button, please. Okay. Seeing none, we can, I believe we can move on to item number 2. Mayor Driver.
I have no comments tonight.
Okay, simple enough. Moving right along. Item number 3, Jeremy, do you have any comments or updates from council?
I just had a couple of quick ones. We renamed Central Ave, Central Station at the behest of the business owners there, just to kind of coordinate with the historical, train kind of history there. We approved the well site. Yeah, that was pretty much all I had.
Great, thank you. I saw that Richard Giffen is on the participants list. So for item number 4, HPC comments, do you, I'm assuming that, Richard, can you promote him? I think you already did actually, didn't you, Eileen?
Yeah, I might.
Okay. Yeah, Richard Giffen, the vice chair of the HPC, right? Do you want to have any
Yeah, that's what I
comments
was
or
thinking.
go through
Yeah,
anything with us, please?
Yeah, just a quick update. At last night's council meeting, we had work session on our proposal to apply for certified local government. I think it's something that we've mentioned to you before we're pursuing. So we had John Hatch did a presentation or give a description, and we outlined the changes we're proposing to the ordinances, and there was a resolution last night to I think the first reading of the ordinances. So I'm not sure whether you want me to give you a more detailed description of that, or if you wanted to watch the video from last night's meeting, or that's enough as it is. But
Well, Richard, I actually did watch the video of the meeting last night, so I was actually going to take this opportunity to encourage the rest of our board members to do the same, because it was really well done. And John Haction, you did a great job presenting this. Maybe if you could just give a quick summary as to what you've been working on, because you actually been the one that have been kind of spearheading this. And then what, more importantly, why I really encourage the rest of the board members to watch the presentation from last night and read through the ordinance, the proposed ordinance changes that were have they been distributed to everyone, right, Eileen? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yes, the draft ordinance was distributed to the.
Okay, so you guys should have all gotten that. It's quite long. So basically, I mean, I'll let Richard go through it, but basically the changes that the HPC is proposing to the ordinance, and the reason why we as the planning board have to take a look at it is that the commission is an advisory commission to the planning board. So we have to also take a look at the ordinance changes and then just give any feedback to the council prior to them voting on the final version. And I believe we have that on the upcoming agenda, the 5th, is that correct, Eileen?
Yes,
Okay.
that would be correct. I think council has planned to have a second meeting on the 25th, so the 5th would be the opportunity for, within the time period.
Okay, so everybody needs to read over that ordinance that you received. Please take a look at the council meeting from last night. It's like within the first 30 minutes, so you don't even have to sit through the whole meeting if you don't want to. And Richard and John Hatch gave a really great presentation. So Richard, do you want to add anything to that?
yeah, I mean, if you wanted me to share my, because I do have like a one-page summary of the.
Great, if that's okay.
Can I share my screen? I'm not sure if you have to do something. Or...
Yeah, I'm going to promote you to panelists then, and I think that's where you can have the share screen button at the bottom of the screen. Should be in green.
Yeah, he has to be a host to share.
Okay, I'll start a video as well. So you can see. Oh.
Do you have the share screen button?
Yeah. Yep, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
You guys aren't in the
Just
same
this.
room.
No, exactly. Karen's taking my room tonight. Yeah, I've been thrown out.
We discussed it. We worked it out.
Yes. It says I can't share. It says host is disabled sharing. Is that? I mean, I can just describe it if you want, if that's a problem.
Well, I know that you shared that same screen on the video on the council meeting last night. So yeah, just give them a summary of what
Yeah.
they can expect, because they're the ones that have to review the ordinance and then comment it on the
Okay.
next time, and
I
just
did
let
make
them know what it is and what you guys are doing.
Host Richard, so if you might be able to see the share
Yeah.
screen button
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Perfect.
So can you see? Yeah. Okay.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, so this shouldn't take long. I'll be very quick. So this
Mhm.
and that we did last night, we went through the background to the CLG, which is basically a scheme administered by SHPO. They encourage HPCs to sign up, and then the benefits of it are, as listed here, we get potential for additional funding. SHPO set aside 10% of their funds for registered CLG HPCs. They offer training. And then there's access to SHPO resources. And then the main thing we're looking for is the survey support tool. So as you remember, we did a survey a couple of years ago, but that was a very basic survey. So in line with SHPO's requirements, we'd like to do a more comprehensive survey, and they would support and hopefully fund that. To obtain CLG, we have to update our ordinances. That's the main thing I think we've described to you before, and then submit the application. And then there are annual reporting requirements, which fortunately John Hatch is he has the same role in another HPC, which is CLG. So he's been through that. So that should be fairly easy for us. But so just a one-page summary on the ordinance change. Hopefully you can see this. So again, we had a number of meetings with SHPO over the last few years. The start of this year was the last one. And we gave them our ordinances, and these are the changes that we have to make to comply. So basically the main thing is you'll see in the ordinances, we had to add in lots of definitions that weren't there before. We've had to update the historic landmarks designation procedures and criteria. We've also had to update the application review procedures criteria. We had to add in an emergency review procedure. And we had to clarify some of the makeup of HPC. We had to make sure that the Class C members are the majority. And then we also have to make sure that the vacancies are filled within 60 days. So these are all the sort of the main reasons that you'll see. There's obviously a lot of text in there that's changed, but they all fall into these items. And then as part of our discussions, we've also added in an appeals procedure and an escrow review fee section. So that's really the main crux of it. I think that's it. Any questions? Don't want to go too far.
I don't have any questions, Richard, but I did, and I only kind of, we only got it today. So I just kind of looked through the ordinance. And I knew there was a lot of dark, bold.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things added. I think the only thing that I would say for this board's edification is to be prepared at the next meeting to just kind of go over what was there versus, how did our ordinance change and why, so that they're aware of, what changed versus what's new. I know it's crossed out and stuff, so pretty much everything bold is new and everything crossed out is changed, but just kind of keep an eye on that. And this designation is something that gives the town an opportunity to get grant money, among other things, for different projects. And to be honest with you, being the second largest historic district in the state, it's definitely something that I know you guys have had a lot of goal to do, and we really appreciate your work on it. But if anybody has any questions, just be prepared and bring them to the next meeting, please. And for the general public, there are two, I'll plug you guys, there's 2 openings for alternates on the HPC. And it's really a great opportunity to kind of volunteer for your community, and as alternates, not that big of an obligation, so it's a good place to kind of start. And I encourage anybody that's interested to reach out to Don or Richard to say you're interested. Does anybody else have anything else
So is
they
that
want
your
to
next-
add on that?
So that's on the agenda for your next meeting, is it? You saying?
October 5th.
Did you want me or Don or John to attend your next meeting?
I would like you to attend. Is there anybody else that has any other thoughts? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Can you make sure that that Beth is also up to speed on all of this? Maybe have John reach out to her, please, because it's important that Beth, I don't think Beth is necessarily copied on that ordinance proposal.
I think I have a copy of it, but I would love to chat with John and others just to get a sense about how that's going to impact the planning board. That would be great.
Maybe prior to the meeting, so she's prepared to advise us.
Okay, I can ask John to do Beth, sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Richard, you could unshare your screen, I think, for
I
the
don't know how to do that on here. How do I do that? Okay, the button's gone.
button's gone. This will shop. Wait, I can do that. This will shop.
Oh, no, I found it again. It's at the top of the screen. Hang on, there you go. All right.
So I don't remember seeing any HPC applications come through, correct?
Oh, sorry.
I'm still, yeah, there were two the last meeting. Do you want me to describe them to you?
Yeah,
Sure.
I did send them out. I distributed those
so-
last week, I believe.
I'm sorry if I missed that. I was kind of focused on the other important other stuff.
No, that was just very. So we're 194 Main Street. This is the old B&B. They're they're doing some further work at the back of the house. They're adding on a porte cochere on the side. So that was all approved. And then 37 Pennsylvania, adding or replacing gutters. So that was all approved as well. So that was it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I think that's all we got
right.
for you, Richard. Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much. All right.
Okay.
So
Thanks a lot. Bye.
thanks, Richard. We'll see you at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I don't know, I can't control the depromotion on that, Eileen, but I think you can. For Richard, moving him back into the participants.
Takes a few minutes.
Okay.
But I think I had done it, but there we go.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're moving on to agenda item number 5, the approval of minutes from the September 14th, 2021 regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll move Haynes.
I heard Mayor Driver first and Mark Kane
I'll
second.
second.
And
I'll second.
do we have, is there any comments or discussion before we vote? Anything that any picked up, spelling, anything? You know, it occurred to me, Eileen, I know that this agenda, there was the date for the next meeting had to be updated. Is that referenced in that? It just occurred to me, is that date the same error maybe in the minutes from last week, perhaps? I don't remember seeing that. Maybe
I
at the
would have to
end.
check.
I don't even have them open because I had read them already, but
Right. I will double check that. And if I have the wrong date for the next meeting, I will. Well, it would have been the next date would have if there's
oh, it
any
would have been for
about
today, so it doesn't
well,
matter.
I
Yes,
will correct that.
that's the only thing that I had.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
I'm looking at the minutes right now. I don't see any reference to the next meeting date.
Sometimes we
Yeah,
we
exactly.
comment
I
a
don't
couple
see
meetings
that.
in advance.
We got chair items, we got bills, we got professional reports, we got motion to adjourn, all in favor, and I don't see any reference to the date.
Okay,
Looks like we're
so
okay.
if there is no comments, can Eileen, you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor Driver,
Yes.
Mr. Hayne,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mrs. Engelhardt,
Yes,
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Budney,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
Yes.
Mr. Levitt.
Yes.
okay,
you.
thank you all. All right, moving on, item number 6, resolution 2021-15, memorializing our recommendation from the last meeting to the mayor and council of the board of the borough of Flemington, that block 35 lots 22, 23, 24, 25, 31, 53, 54, 69, 70, and 71 be declared an area in need of redevelopment. Do I have a motion to open?
So move Cook.
Okay, so, just
I
want to
need
make
a
sure
second.
that whoever's, I just want to
Second,
make sure that
Haynes.
whoever's making a motion was authorized to vote. We're okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Second Haynes.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion or questions on the resolution that was distributed by Kara documenting our affirmative vote from last meeting. Okay, so with that, Eileen, can you call the vote? That's okay, Kara, we're good?
We're fine. We got a motion. We got a second.
Okay.
We have all eligible members qualified to vote in the voting list, and Eileen can feel free to call.
Eileen, you're on mute.
Thank you. I was just trying to find out, Kara, can you help me out with, I don't seem to have it up right now. Those that are eligible to vote on this.
You know what? You want me to do a roll call? I have it right in front of me.
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem. Ms. Engelhardt,
Abstain.
Mayor Driver,
Yes.
Councilman Long,
Yes.
Mr. Budney,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Kane,
Yes.
and Ms. Giffen.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Okay, item number 7, moving on. Planning Board consistency review and recommendations. Council ordinance. This is an ordinance to amend and replace the Union Hotel redevelopment plan as adopted previously by ordinance 2017-206 and ordinance 2020-16 of the Borough of Flemington. I know that Kara and Beth, I don't know, maybe Kara, you want to introduce this? This has been also distributed to everyone, and then I believe Beth has to walk us through this. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I'll let Beth do it. You know,
Yeah.
we had discussed, the only thing I will say is we had discussed at the last meeting that in connection with the settlement agreement that was voted on and approved by the board, there would be a cohesive redevelopment plan coming back before the board. It's going to be called Amendment Number 2, that essentially facilitates what was agreed upon by the parties in connection with the settlement agreement. I'll let Beth go through exactly what that is and answer any questions and set us up for the consistency determination.
Right, and let me just say that in layman's terms. Tonight, what we're doing is looking at what Beth is presenting and simply determining if this presentation is consistent with our master plan. We've done this before. We'll give her a chance to do that presentation, but that is what we're reviewing tonight is this consistent with our master plan? And that's the question that you need to answer tonight.
Yeah, and that's right. And so the question is not what do we think
I'm
about the
sorry,
develop-
Beth, hold on 1 minute. Eileen?
I'm just, is anybody recused? Is anybody, is the entire board eligible to participate in the discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Eileen. We didn't do our original recusals because both of these matters have been the subject of recusals before. To the extent that individuals have recused themselves from this previously, they would also be recused from this matter as well. That would be, in 1 second, that would be Mayor Driver, that would be Mr. Cook, Mr. Hain, Ms. Giffen, and Mr. Norton.
Even though this is after the settlement?
I am taking a extremely conservative approach to a conflict in connection with the settlement. Essentially, until the stipulation of dismissal is filed with the court, that litigation remains open. So if the conditions of the settlement, of which this is one that must be reviewed, recommended, and adopted by council, does not go through, then essentially that settlement is null and void and that stipulation of dismissal is not filed.
Okay.
So
So
I don't-
you'll update, eventually these members will be able to be involved in future discussions in relation to these particular parcels?
yes,
But
once
not
that
now.
stipulation of dismissal is filed and that litigation is essentially over, done with, settled, period. At that point, then I think everyone's in the clear and we can proceed at that point.
Okay, so be it. So I will text all of you when we're done with this. Or do you just turn them off?
They could turn their screens
All right,
off.
just turn your
That's
screens
fine.
off, please, if your name was called. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey,
Okay,
Sue,
so
if all these people are can't vote on this, is there gonna be enough people to vote at this meeting?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
yeah, and Jim did say if we need him, we can call him in, but we don't need him, you're saying.
Oh, we have 5.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that.
Actually, I
Yep.
think we
No,
have
just making sure.
with Mike, so.
Okay. Beth, do you need to share the screen or are you good with just a description?
No, I'm good. I was just gonna
Okay.
give a verbal, addresses verbally.
Okay, please move
Yep.
on then.
Okay, so the question before you guys is not thoughts about the redevelopment plan, it's just consistency with the master plan. And the standard that the council is looking for is not that it's consistent with the master plan, but rather that it's not inconsistent with the master plan. So it's a slight difference, but it's not that the planning board, well, the planning board doesn't need to make any particular findings, but it's not that the intention is that the ordinance is not consistent with the master plan, but that it's not inconsistent. But all that said, there's, let me go through a little bit. And the redevelopment plan actually gives an overview of this at the very end section of it, where I go through relevant master plan policies. And I'll just boil this down to you guys relatively shortly. There are in the borough's master plan, specifically the 2015 reexamination report, there are a number of goals and objectives and policies that are relevant to the revised or the amended Union Hotel redevelopment plan. And I think the short story is that the board can make the recommendation or make the finding that the redevelopment plan is not inconsistent with the master plan. And the reason why I say that is I think there are several goals, objectives, and policies that are supportive or perhaps neutral on the amended redevelopment plan. And let me go through some of the highlights. I don't want to read all of them because it's literally 3 or 4 pages of text towards the end. So I'll just give you a summary of those highlights. So in terms of the relevant goals and objectives, some of these are, so they're listed, as I said, in your 2015 reexamination report, many of which are also included in your 2010 master plan. And they include goals such as, but not limited to, preserving and protecting and enhancing the integrity of Flemington's historic district and historic resources within, employ strategies to encourage community and economic development within the borough, using density, a mix of uses, and public open space to enhance the downtown, provide opportunities for appropriately scaled and located residential development to encourage redevelopment/revitalization of underutilized properties, and to provide opportunity for additional market support for the retail, service, and entertainment portions of Main Street, which is in the downtown Business 1 and Business 2 districts and nearby surrounding properties in Liberty Village and Turntable Junction. In addition to that, there are several other goals and objectives, some of these that are relevant from your other master plan elements. They include the 2011 Green Buildings and Environmental Sustainability element, and that includes objectives such as capitalize on the borough's center-based development pattern to decrease the environmental footprint of borough residents, institutions, and businesses, with an objective stating support the borough's mixed use and commercial areas by encouraging complementary infill development and removing barriers to success, such as but not limited to permitting a variety of complementary and supporting uses and encouraging shared parking. And then there are also some policies that are specific to this property. So for example, the 2015 reexamination report specifically addresses the site, in particular in relation to the downtown strategic plan from 2015, sometimes referred to as the Terra Nobile report. And in there, on page 34 of the reexamination report, it offered an assessment of the downtown strategic plan, stating that the overall concept of incorporating additional residential units into this area, including along Spring Street, is positive and consistent with borough goals to concentrate commercial activity in the retail area of the downtown and permit residential development as a strategy to encourage reuse of underutilized properties and create the opportunity to provide market support to the borough's commercial districts. However, the residential density proposed in the downtown strategic plan may exceed the capacity of the site. And notably, the amended redevelopment plan does provide for fewer residential units than what was shown in the downtown strategic plan. Additionally, there's a policy stated in the reexamination report for the DB district that states that first floor residential uses should be a conditional use, ultimately providing for some flexibility for first floor residential uses, making a recommendation that there be flexibility for this use based on certain areas where they don't disrupt first floor active commercial uses. Additionally, there were other recommendations in there about, for example, adjusting front yard setback to a minimum of approximately 0 feet. I should say that's consistent with what we see in the redevelopment plan. Additionally, the reexamination report also addressed building height in the borough, and that's the last topic addressed in here. It states the borough should conditionally permit buildings of up to 4 stories where the development advances other borough goals, such as providing parking which serves the surrounding area, providing affordable housing, and/or providing recreation or entertainment space, such as open space, plaza, etc. Additionally, any increase in building height in the district may be sensitive to the historic buildings and nearby residences, many of which are 2 or perhaps 3 stories. And so what we see here is are a variety of goals, policies, and objectives that, in my opinion, largely advance or rather support the redevelopment plan. Now, as I said, the finding that's being asked of the board is not consistency with the master plan, and importantly, not absolute consistency with the master plan. And I think that's important here because what we've got is a little bit of a mixed bag. So there are a lot of policies that I think do directly support the redevelopment plan, but there are some others that are require a little bit more nuance and a bit more thinking. And I think the 2 obvious examples of that are the policy regarding building height of up to 4 stories where certain benefits were provided by the development. And then also the first floor residential use. And we do see some first floor residential use here. And so in terms of height, some of the things that I think are important is while the height of the redevelopment plan does exceed 4 stories, all of those benefits set forth or suggested in the reexamination report have been provided as part of this project. So in terms of open space and affordable housing, things like that. So I think that is a consideration that the board needs to weigh in regards to that policy. And then in regard to the first floor residential uses, I want to highlight the fact that all of Main Street and for a portion of that plaza, the portion closest to Main Street, these areas will be entirely non-residential uses. So while the project does include residential first floor along Spring Street, along Chorister and parts of Bloomfield, as well as the remaining part of the plaza, it does largely support the goal of maintaining commercial first floor frontages while providing some flexibility for where residential may be created given the site-specific circumstances. So what's being asked of the board is to consider all of these items together. And so ultimately, as a whole, do you think that the amended redevelopment plan for the Union Hotel site is not inconsistent with the master plan? It's not, I just want to highlight one final time, it's not, is there any item that is inconsistent? It's taken as a whole, is the master plan inconsistent, or is the redevelopment plan inconsistent with the master plan? So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think I'm just gonna go down the line. From what I see on my screen, we'll do what Jeff's kind of set as an example. Jeremy, do you have any questions for Beth?
I was formulating something.
I can come back to you if you need.
Yeah,
You just happen to be on my top left.
that's fine. I have something, but I just have to figure out how to word it.
I'll come back to you at the end if you don't mind.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Brian, you're next in line. Do you have any questions for Beth?
I guess it's more of clarification. Once, assuming this is receives affirmative vote, what was the next process? There would have to, my understanding is there would have to be some type of formal site plan amendment to that would follow this. Is that correct from the applicant?
Yeah, I think that's anticipated. So it just for clarity, because I know you know, but so this ordinance will then go back to the Borough Council for adoption. And then the new redevelopment plan will be in effect. After that, then yes, I anticipate that the developer will seek an amended site plan approval, because one of the components of that redevelopment plan is the addition of a porch on the potting shed, and the porch that will face into, if you will, the plaza. And
Right.
so, as all of you may recall, that porch was not included in your site plan approval. So,
And that's a significant enough a change to warrant to trigger like a formal amendment rather than just like a field change.
I believe so. Kara, if you want to correct me, but my understanding is there's going to be an amended site plan approval. You're muted, Kara.
Kara, you're muted.
Yeah.
Thank you. Think of how I said that. Yes, it definitely is. It's an additional structure. It's a two-story porch that's going to be added to the
All right.
side of the potting shed and again, facing the plaza. They will be coming back to the board so that you can take a look at what they're proposing and include that in amended site plan approval, hopefully.
Great,
And
thanks.
it is,
That's
it's
all I
important
had.
to,
Sue.
great, thanks, I appreciate that. It's important to note that's not what we're voting on tonight, though.
Correct. Yes, all we're voting on tonight is the same that we've done a number of times before with regard to redevelopment plans, just reviewing it based upon Beth's criteria and making a determination as to whether or not that criteria is satisfied, so we can go back to the council.
Hannah, you're next on in order.
I don't have any questions right now. I'll raise my hand if I do develop one though.
Okay, great. Trent, you're next. I don't see, now Trent, I am disappointed. I don't see your jack-o'-lantern mug. I know it's September, so you have time next meeting. I expect to see it.
You know, I ran out of Keurig coffee. So I wasn't able to make any tonight, but I definitely would have used it had I.
Yes.
Um,
You get a reprieve. Go ahead.
I'll have it next week. Yeah, so I imagine we had to do this, the consistency review for the previous redevelopment plan before this revision, correct?
Yes, we did.
And I imagine, do you recall how we found last time?
Yeah.
That it was not inconsistent?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, the planning board's finding for the previous version of the redevelopment plan was not inconsistent. And I think that's relevant in part. I think that's relevant because this redevelopment plan is largely the same, but what the changes that it does have, I think actually move it more towards consistency with your master plan. With the biggest change, particularly given how it reads against your master plan policies, is that height actually came down. And so I think that's a really critical change.
Okay. That's pretty much all the questions I have. Thanks.
Mike, he's eligible to vote, right, Kara? Okay, Mike, you're next in my order. Do you have any comments or questions for Beth?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Jeremy, did I
Yeah,
give you
it
enough
was-
time?
Yeah, it was kind of along the lines of what I guess Trent had brought up, sort of. You had mentioned the first floor residential use. Could you just, I must have missed it, but the master plan says what of that?
So Right now, first floor residential uses are prohibited in the downtown business district. So that means if you want to put a first floor residential use facing Main Street, it's prohibited. If you want to put a first floor residential use facing a side street or facing the parking lot, like, I don't want to reference applications, but that would be a prohibited use. But what the master plan says is essentially, this is a really rigid requirement, and there may be instances where first floor residential uses are appropriate. So for example, considering along a side street or perhaps in a parking lot, essentially in a location that doesn't disrupt that first floor commercial activity along the street that the borough is trying to promote. And the suggestion is that first floor residential uses maybe should be a conditional use or should have some design considerations applied to it so that the borough can create this a little bit of flexibility for people with larger properties or awkwardly shaped properties without doing a disservice to concentrating that commercial and retail economic activity along the first floor of, say, Main Street in your other primary borough commercial districts.
Yeah, that was it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. My question is for Beth is kind of in the same spirit of Jeremy and that the question about the first floor. I guess more of an observation than anything is Spring, Bloomfield, and Corster do have some first floor residential. And do you believe that this revised, this redevelopment plan kind of mirrors some of the first floor residential on those 3 locations? Like, do you think that is not inconsistent with the spirit of our what our master plan says about first floor residential?
No, I don't think it's inconsistent with the spirit of the master plan. And that's precisely because the first floor residential uses are not located on the primary commercial street in the redevelopment area, which is, I think, obviously Main Street, right? Nor is it located on the Main Street, the portion of the plaza that's closest to Main Street. So these areas that are most important for creating this vibrant downtown that the borough is trying to further and trying to use this redevelopment plan in part to do, those important areas will be commercial, will be non-residential uses, will be part of the retail, restaurants, entertainment that's proposed. Instead, what we see are the residential uses at the other end of the plaza, closest to Spring Street and along Spring Street. Now, Spring Street is located in the DB district. However, I am comfortable still finding that I'm comfortable with that design element. I'm also comfortable with that finding that we're talking about this evening as not being inconsistent with the master plan, because one of the other things that we see in the master plan is these goals and objectives sort of concentrate commercial activity into the stronger, more vibrant areas of the borough. So we talked about, in part trying to concentrate your commercial activity along Main Street and trying to use residential in other areas of the borough to help support new residential development, to help support these commercial activities. And so I think the residential development along Spring Street is in furtherance of that. So we've identified through the redevelopment plan process, we've identified the less important place, the place where residential development can be incorporated in order to provide infill development and to do so in a way that will support the existing and new commercial development in the borough, and to do so in a way that doesn't disrupt what is supposed to be the shopping district of the borough, which is along Main Street. And I think specifically really not along Spring Street, notwithstanding the fact that this portion of the site is, the underlying zoning is indeed the DB district.
So that mirroring is appropriate, is what you're saying?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with it.
Okay. The other question is this: there was a phrase that you said right after in our master plan, right after the words maximum 4 stories, and then it said or in support of historic something or other. Could you repeat that, please? Because then I have a question related to that.
Yes, okay. The borough should conditionally permit buildings of up to 4 stories where the development advances other borough goals, such as providing parking which serves the surrounding area, providing affordable housing, and/or providing recreation or entertainment space. Additionally, any increase in building height in the district must be sensitive to the historic buildings and nearby residences, many of which are 2 or perhaps 3 stories.
Okay, so this revised plan steps back from the elevations, purposely step back from the Main Street elevations, which is, and save the historic elevation of both the Union Hotel and the Potting Shed, which frankly, I believe is the nicest historic building in town. So I think that the height difference kind of relates to that particular line of the master plan best. So
Although,
you know, that I don't know if you agree with that or not. That's
I
what
just want to
I was
clarify
hearing.
I just want to clarify one thing, that step back in height along Spring Street is included in the previous redevelopment plan.
No, I meant the height step back from Main Street. You know, like how it stays at 4 stories right at the beginning and then gets and then comes up.
Yes,
It's kind of, it's
but
respecting the historic buildings in the front. That was what I thought related more to the master plan. In a good
yes, and
way.
I think that's true. I think that does directly relate to the master plan. I just want to highlight to folks that when we talk about this redevelopment plan amendment, bringing the height down, what it's really doing is adjusting the height down to not, it's not about adjusting it number of stories, but really it adjusts the height down to the height included in the approved site plan, right?
From the first approved, from the 2018 approved to now.
It adjusts the height down to what is in the 2021,
Right.
2020, excuse me, site
Right.
plan approval.
It was from the 2018 to the 2020.
Yeah.
That's got it. Okay. Yes, I like that. I like that. I didn't remember that line after the 4 stories until you mentioned it. So I felt that was appropriate.
Okay.
Now, this isn't a public hearing, so I understand, I'm not actually, it's not actually appropriate to call any public comments. Is that correct?
That's correct. You don't have to open it up to the public.
Okay, great. So is there anybody on the board that has any other comments for Beth before I call a roll? Okay, do I have a motion to approve this ordinance?
So it's going to be a
But me-
resolution memorializing the board's findings.
I'm sorry, I'm looking for a motion to memorialize the council ordinance to amend and replace the Union Hotel redevelopment plan as adopted by the 2 ordinances previously noted, 2017-206 and 2020-16. I believe Brian had a motion.
So moved, Budney.
Do I have a second?
Long second.
Great, thank you. Eileen, please call the roll.
Mr. Budney,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Levitt,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Rest of the board members, you can get a chance to get back on. Sneak Karen. There she is. Okay, great. So do we have Karen? Thought I saw her screen change. There she is. Great. Good. Thank you. All right. So next item on the agenda is item number 8, chair items. First of all,
Sorry, Susan?
yes.
I did receive an email today from Kara regarding a resolution.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Adopting the redevelopment plan.
Yeah, so that's essentially what we just voted on. So I would need a motion from the board, from the floor to authorize the placement of the resolution on the agenda, and then we would just adopt, take the same vote to adopt the resolution, memorializing the vote of the board that we just had. It's essentially what we just did, but we did not make a motion to amend the agenda. So why don't we do that? And then we could just take another vote to memorialize the resolution that was forwarded in accordance with the same vote of the board, taking the action recommended by Beth.
Okay, I'm sorry. So right now we need
That's okay.
and just so everybody understands what we're going to do, I need a motion to amend the agenda in order to memorialize not the vote that we just took, but the resolution that was previously distributed by Kara documenting this motion, these recommendations.
That's
So I
correct.
need a motion to amend the agenda.
So moved, Budney.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Campion, second.
Okay, thank you. I think that was Mike.
And yes, and just so everyone understands, it wasn't originally on the agenda because we weren't quite sure exactly how the board was going to vote, or if there were going to be any other recommendations in connection with it. So now that we know exactly how it is, there does not need to be any amendments on the floor of the resolution that was drafted and distributed. So now we can go ahead based on the motion and the second and have the vote of the individuals that participated before.
Can we get an all in favor to amend the agenda
Yes.
first?
All in favor to amend the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay.
And
So,
then,
and I apologize. I thought that what we just did was basically, there was no comments to request any changes to the written resolution. So
It's okay,
during
Susan.
our discussion, so I apologize for that.
No, it's fine. Well, just an extra procedural step. Better to do it this way. No problem.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. I appreciate that. Okay, so now I need a motion to adopt the resolution that was distributed to the board, documenting our recommendations to amend and replace the Union Hotel redevelopment plan. I'm not going to repeat all that. So I need a motion to do that.
Moved, Campion.
Thank you, Mike. Do I have a second?
Second, Budney.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, Eileen, call the roll.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Budney,
Yes.
Mrs. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Levitt,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to former item number 8, new item number 9, care items. As you guys may have seen, when the agenda was distributed to you guys, at the bottom, it had our next meeting erroneously, just as a typo, as October 5th. I just want to make it clear, it was on our last agenda, it said October 12th. I just want to make it clear, our next meeting is not the 12th, it is the 5th. It has always been the 5th. It was on the public, it was on the calendar from the beginning of the year as the 5th.
That was
Specifically,
my error. I did not look at the calendar.
no
and
big
see
deal.
that, Columbus Day or the holiday on the 11th is.
Right. I
moved
just want to
down.
make it clear, this isn't a special meeting. It's not it's something last minute. It's always been on the calendar from the beginning of the year as the 5th. We shifted our meeting specifically because in January, or when we established all the meetings of the year, we knew that the council had to shift their meeting from Monday to Tuesday because of the Columbus Day Indigenous Persons holiday. So we shifted our meeting to the 5th. So like I said, that's been on the calendar from the beginning, but there was a typo on one of our agendas that got sent around. So the next meeting is
apologies.
not the 12th, it is the 5th. Please, Eileen, no big deal, just a typo. So that being said, our next meeting on the 5th, Eileen, what do we have? What do we believe is coming up? We know already from Richard that we're going to be reviewing the revisions to the HPC ordinance in order for us to move forward with center designation. We need to review that. Is there anything else that we anticipate to be on the agenda for the 5th?
No. I think that is the only agenda item that is for the 5th. Based on, we did have some information, more documentation submitted by the Captiva application, but based on Mr. Clerico's email this afternoon, he is recommending that they do completeness on the 26th.
Yes, I saw that. Great.
The only other items that are out there, Susan, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
We still have the Padavani application. I have been in contact with their attorney, Steve Grunberg. They have extended almost indefinitely. He's not going to come back and say like, this is approved because we didn't act. He will extend that to, he's still waiting for their engineer to revise some plans, I guess.
We
I
have
don't
that in
know.
writing, Eileen, that he's just going to extend it as
I will
necessary.
get that in
until-
writing.
That was my next question too.
I will get that in writing tomorrow. Absolutely. It is extended until the end of this month, so I will get that.
The end of this month,
Yes.
this week, or the end of
That's
this month
Thursday.
next
Tomorrow,
month?
like Thursday. So if I get that another extension tomorrow in writing, hopefully that will suffice. Otherwise, the board may want to take an action to dismiss. You know, it has been hanging out there for a long time.
But Kara, if it expires at the end of this month, just putting it on the agenda to dismiss it on the 5th, is that a problem?
It's not a problem, but I think that since we've been in constant contact with Steve and, Steve is a well-seasoned land use attorney and represents municipalities too. So, I mean, I think we could say to him, listen, what's your plan here? Because yes, we certainly have that ability. We've waited, he's extended. If he does not extend the time period, then, we have certain options for what we can do. But I would recommend, let's let Eileen talk to him. Let's see what the plan is. If he can get us an extension for whether it be another 60 days or something along those lines, then at least we could say to him, listen, give us another extension. If something doesn't happen at the end of this, then we're going to go ahead and take some kind of action. I mean, it's really no harm or foul to the board, regardless of which way we go. So I think we give him that option, and then we can let him know what our plan is.
Okay. All right. So we'll just be looking for that from you tomorrow, Eileen. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any committee like updates, redevelopment committee, master plan, any updates from anybody as besides our professionals that want to have anything to report? Okay. All right, seeing none, I will move on to new agenda item number 10, formerly 9. The bills, I need a motion to audit the bills that Eileen previously sent out.
So move Cook.
Second, Haynes.
Okay, Eileen?
Yes, Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Hayne,
Yes.
Mayor Driver,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Abstain.
Mrs. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Budney,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
Yes.
Mr. Levitt.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I was a bad chair. I forgot to ask if there was any discussion before that vote, but I'm assuming there was no discussion on the bill. So I'll move on to new item number 11, professional reports. The only professional we have the professionals we have here are Kara and Beth. Do either one of you guys have anything for us?
Go ahead, Beth.
I don't have any new planning news to bring to the planning board. I will say I'm working on the redevelopment plan for Liberty Village, so that's proceeding in the municipality, but I think that's the big news. That's it.
And then I can just report that the settlement agreement that was authorized by the board at the last meeting has been signed by all parties. And we are in the process of fulfilling the conditions. We are also circulating that stipulation of dismissal that I told you about in anticipation of properly satisfying the condition. So once that's done, the stipulation will be filed and litigation will finally be resolved.
Great. Thank you. I'm assuming, Kara, we don't need to go into any executive session.
Not that I'm aware of.
Great. Well, then, before I wish everybody a good end of September and good weekend, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Budney.
Second.
Great. I'm sorry. I was trying to get it in under an hour and I was 2 minutes too long. So
Yeah.
I appreciate all your patience and help with my, I haven't done this in a while, so I appreciate all your patience with me tonight. Eileen, can I just say, all in favor of adjourning?
Yes.
Okay. Aye. Everybody
Aye.
have a
Aye.
Good
Aye.
night. Stay safe. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.